be here this morning. The theme of my talk this morning is about one decision can change your life. You'll hear about addiction and how one decision for my son Brady changed the life of himself and many others in his life. I hope by the time you get done with this, you've learned some life lessons and some things that will stick with you that you'll never forget. So, I always refer to myself as Brady's proud dad. So, a few years ago, I read a book. Brady was kind of experimenting with some drugs and things like that. I read a book called Beautiful Boy. And this book talked about the roller coaster of life of a drug addicted boy and his dad. When you have a son or a kid who's addicted to drugs or alcohol or whatever they might be addicted to, as a parent, you live a roller coaster life. You never know from moment to moment or from day to day what you might encounter. You run into some extreme, crazy things that you never thought you'd run into. You run into some things that a kid does that you would never in a million years think they would do. But you live a life of roller coasters. There's good times, there's bad times, and there's really bad times. When the times are good, you tend to live on this thing that I call the pink cloud. And the pink cloud is when everything's perfect, and you kind of get your kid back, and they have their life turned around, and things like that. The highs are really high, the lows are really low if they do relapse. So anyway, you'll hear some more of that later. But anyway, Brady, for his childhood, had what I would call a perfect life for 16 years. He had a very loving family, super popular kid. He was a gifted athlete. You know anything about golf? He was 15. He played Deer Creek for the first time. He shot a 72. That's how good a golfer he was. So, he played varsity soccer for Blue Light Northwest. He was truly my best friend from the day he was born. He would follow me around. We had fun together. We traveled to Final Fours. We tried to travel to Super Bowl. We did golf trip to Pebble Beach. We just did everything, kind of extreme things that, I wanted him to have a great life, and so I did everything I could to make sure that he had that, and, as did his mom as well. But anyway, when I talk about one decision could change your life, there was a decision Brady made when he was 16. So Brady was playing, he was the JV captain for soccer, Blue Valley Northwest, played competitive soccer his whole life, won state championships, all that. And anyway, he had gotten promoted to varsity as a sophomore. There was only 2 kids that were on varsity as sophomores at Blue Valley Northwest. He was one of them. So anyway, I was at a Chiefs trip in Phoenix. About 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. My wife called me and she said that Brady got some trouble at the homecoming dance. What happened was him and his girlfriend went out to his car and got some beer out of there. And while they were out there, the care officer at the school caught him. They got sent into the principal's office, and as a result of that, he got kicked off the soccer team. The soccer team went on one state that year. That was a turning point in his life. He lived for soccer, he lived for sports, he was super competitive. And for him to not have missed out on that opportunity, and to have missed out on all the fun, that's a once in a lifetime deal. So anyway, I got that call about 10 o'clock on a Saturday night in Phoenix. I could have never been more shocked. Brady was truly a great kid that just did things like that. So anyway, as a result of that, he got kicked off the soccer team. About 2 weeks after that, he broke up with his girlfriend. She had a lot of issues with depression and things like that. He always felt like he could be there to fix her and to make her life better and all that. But anyway, that one decision, going out and getting that beer out of that kid's car, changed his life forever. Not having the soccer practice and soccer games and all that after school anymore. He had time on his hands. He started drinking beer, started smoking pot, started hanging out with different people. I can see, probably like 2 weeks after this incident, things started to change. This was in October of 2000, whatever it was. No, it wasn't 2006. 2006, I guess. So anyway, in October, this all started. By April, he had a full-blown heroin addiction. And he got so bad, I remember seeing him one day. He had a really bad week. Got another girlfriend he broke up with. Had another incident where he lost his job. His drug usage escalated. And I came home one day. He was white as a ghost. It was scary. That was either Friday or Saturday. So what we did is we knew we needed to take serious action. So we found a program in St. George, Utah called Sunhawk Academy. So we sent Brady to Sunhawk, and what they do, they do what's called an intervention. So about 3:30 in the morning, 2 off-duty cops from Las Vegas show up at our house, get him out of bed, take him straight to the airport, and take him back over to St. George, Utah for his rehab. He was there for about 2 or 3 weeks before he even earned the right for a phone call to his parents. So we went and visited him out there, and we felt like he was probably not in the right place when we were out there. So we went out there, and these things, we spent at least $100,000 on all this rehab stuff, probably 150 or 2 actually. But anyway, we decided that it probably wasn't the best place for him, so we pulled him out there, brought him home. It wasn't even a day later that we got home, and he was right back at it. He was back at his heroin, whatever else he did that we're not done. To make a long story short, he's in rehab, in and out of rehab for 3.5 years. We sent him to Sunhawk, we sent him to Valley Hope in Ashton, we sent him to a place called Crossroads here in Kansas City. They have which is, if you ever, parents, if you ever deal with this stuff, it's the best place in the world for your kids. But anyway, we sent him to Crossroads, and we figured the one thing that we need to do is get him out of town. So we sent him to Crossroads in St. Louis with a $20 bill, no cell phone, and a carton of cigarettes. He was 18 at the time. He just barely turned 19. I didn't know it, but Brady had almost OD'd on the couch about a week earlier, and he was ready to change. So for the next 5.5 months, he hit the ground running with that program. He became a leader in the group. He was reaching out to other kids that were struggling. He found God in his life. About 5.5 months into this rehab, have to be April 20th. And if you guys don't know what April 20th is, it's also known as 420. You call it Marijuana Appreciation Day. There's all kinds of names for it. But anyway, I don't think it's any coincidence that he relapsed on 420. He was working at Waterways Car Wash in St. Louis. And a kid that used to be in the group with him, he hooked up with him, got some heroin. He took it that night. Went to bed that night and woke up. I've been on this pink cloud for 5.5 months, got my kid back. And I tell you what, I never in a million years would have guessed that he'd gone down that path again. But, you know, his body had kind of cleaned itself out over 5.5 months, and it was kind of like doing it for the first time. His body couldn't take it, so. One thing that happened, so the next morning the cops showed up at my door and they told me what had happened. From that very minute I found out, one thing that I said to myself is, something good has to come out of this. I don't want my son just to be another tragedy and just another statistic. I wanted something good to come out of it. So out of that, I've done some speaking in schools. I've talked to a lot of parents. I've talked to a lot of kids. And my goal is to tell this story so that hopefully somebody else can not have to go through this pain that I've gone through. And all the people in his life, there's a lot of people affected by this. I can tell you this one decision at that beer, one decision trying pot for the first time, one decision trying heroin for the first time, those are all life-changing decisions that you can't undo. You know, if you ever start, you don't ever have to stop. When you start getting into this habit, there's really only a couple ways you can support this habit. It's super expensive. Brady, like many others, started with Oxycontin, which is basically synthetic heroin. Oxycontin's expensive, so what the kids figure out is that after a while, they can't afford the Oxycontin, so they start heroin, which is the same effect, and it's a lot cheaper. The thing about heroin is, you never know where it's been. It may be from Mexico, who knows what they put in this stuff, you know. But anyway, it's super deadly stuff, and once you start, you can't stop. So anyway, even one time, it's so addictive. Brady used to tell me, he says, the highs are so high, and then when you come down, it feels somebody beat the you-know-what out of you. The only way to support this habit is what I call stealing and dealing. So Brady would deal drugs there for the Valley Northwest. It's right, you know. He actually would never in a million years do anything to hurt his dad, but he actually broke in my safe and stole my checkbook and cashed a check. In a million years, he would have never done anything to hurt me. But anyway, that stuff's so powerful, you have to do something to support your habit. One thing that I hear a lot is teenagers, parents, it's just pot. You know, if they're only smoking pot on the weekend, what's the big deal? You know what, it is a big deal. First of all, it's illegal, and once you get busted and you get in the system, good luck getting out. You kind of have a X on your back. You're always a target, you know, you're on probation, things like that, diversion. But once you get in the system, it's tough to get out. Brady served jail time, and every time he served jail time, it was a very happy and calming time in my life because he had some peace. We had some peace knowing where he was and knowing where he was. The thing about pot is that, you know, it stays in your system for about 30 days. So if you think, okay, well, I just use it on the weekends, I'll go and have some fun on Friday, Saturday night, and I'll be okay. And the thing is, if that stuff's in your system, you're never hitting on all cylinders. You're always at least having this kind of cloud. You're not thinking clearly. You're not achieving your potential. That's the biggest thing I believe with is, you know, stay away from it and do what you can to achieve your potential because it's a great life out there. And, you know, I feel like I have an amazing life. I just miss Brady badly every day. You're going to be exposed to things. You're at an age where you're going to start getting exposed to things. It's a fact that I don't know what percentage of people in here are going to start using drugs or start going down the wrong path. But it's going to happen. Some of your friends you've been friends with your whole life are going to start going down this wrong path. What are you going to do when it happens? Are you going to be strong enough to walk away and choose different friends? I can tell you that my younger son struggled with the same thing. And was more of a, he wasn't outgoing, he was more lonely and things like that. But he got in with the drug crowd because the drug crowd will accept anybody into the club. It's the easiest group in the world to fit in. And I can tell you, you start down that path, it's a long journey, potentially. A certain percentage of people go from abuse to addiction. It's not that hard to do. I know teenagers struggle with a lot. Depression is real. Boredom sets in. Self-esteem problems. The worst thing you can do when something like that happens, when you start feeling sad or lonely or depressed or whatever, the worst thing you can do is go to this drug crowd and start using the drugs. There's so many resources out there to help you. You got counselors here. You got your school resource officer. You got parents. You have, even if your friends start going down the wrong path, you still got good friends out there in your life. There's plenty of good people you can hang out with. I hope you make the right decision to dump your friends that go down that path. Because the worst thing you can do is be supportive of them, be loving them. You can be loving on them, but do what I call detached with love. I had to reach that point in my life where when Brady hit my checking account, I had to reach that point in my life that as much as I loved him and cared about him and want to be there to be his cheerleader every day, I had to kick him out of the house. But that's another whole set of stories. But anyway, I did this thing that we call detached with love. So I had to, not talk to him every day. I had to kind of shut him out of my life for a while, let him go figure things out on his own. But that's the best thing you can possibly do when you get in that situation, is to detach with love, have different friends, and really be their shoulder to cry on, because addicts, abusers, that's what they'll do. They'll dump all their problems on you. And like Brady's girlfriend he broke up with that was suffering from depression, she took him right down with him. There's so much damage to families, friendships, things like that, so hopefully you'll never start, so you'll have to stop. One thing I'd like to leave you with is no matter how bad things ever got with Brady, with our family, whatever, every single time I saw it, every time I talked to him, we always said, I love you. I'd like to encourage you to do that with your own family, no matter what you're struggling with or anything, but I'd like to leave you with that thought to always appreciate your family, but no matter what happens, always tell them I love you. Any time for questions?